Hello, Gemini, and welcome to my channel, Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs, looking at your connection to the person that you are dealing with and needing to learn the most from right now. As always, we're looking at all three sides of it. We've got your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between it. The concept being that there are three sides to every story. So looking at your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle, really looking at what is the purpose of this connection and what is the best way to move forward in alignment with your higher self. I've already gone ahead and pulled the overall energy for the reading, clarified those messages, but we have a different tarot deck we'll be diving into that I already have shuffled, as well as the advice deck that I'll be using in the extended. Any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading with me is in the description box below. Last thing, please remember these are general readings. They are not here to resonate fully for everyone, so do remember to take what resonates and helps your personal situation and leave what does not. On that note, these energies can absolutely be swapped, so if you resonate more with the energy to my right than to my left, or if you're a cross-watcher then vice versa, just know that's totally fine and totally normal. Again, the point is to take what helps and leave what does not. All right, gems. Let's start by looking at your side of this connection. You have trust with the Three of Swords. I feel like this connection has put you through a lot here, Gemini, and I feel like your trust has kind of been broken. When I first got this trust card, I thought it was like, oh, it's a positive energy, like, you know, trust this person. And then I got the Three of Swords, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I feel like you've been put kind of through the ringer in this connection, and I feel like it always stems back to the fact that, like, you trusted this person, or you trusted that things would be different this time, or you trusted that they would change, or you trusted something about them, something that they said or something they promised, and you were kind of left with this Three of Swords energy. I don't know if this connection is currently together or not. I don't think it is, just based on the way that this reading is going so far. But take it as it resonates. Now, this person, they have power with the Hermit in reverse. Okay, this is an interesting message, because this power card to me is kind of like, you know, learning how to take your power back, so on and so forth. But that's not how I read it in this message, especially with this Hermit in reverse clarifying it. I feel like this person has had a tendency in their relationships to look for relationships in which they have power. I feel like they have a tendency to be a little bit controlling, maybe even manipulative. And I feel like they do that because they don't know how to build and sustain a like, not even just romantic, but like an emotional connection. This Hermit in reverse is an energy of this person actually being pretty lonely, pretty isolated in their life. And I don't think, like, yes, this is their energy toward this connection, but I don't think this is necessarily just in this connection. I feel like this is one of those, like, lonely in a crowded room kind of situations where I feel like this person might, you know, surround themselves with a lot of people, or might have a lot of friends, or even if they don't have a lot of people around them, like, they don't spend a lot of time alone, but even when they aren't alone, they're still very lonely, because I don't feel like they actually build emotional connections in their relationships. I feel like, again, kind of coming from this power card, I feel like they look for connections in which they have power over, which they can control, because they struggle with that level of vulnerability. I don't necessarily think this is like a bad person, at least not so far. But I do think that they are hurt. And as I always say on this channel, hurt people, right? So I feel like you kind of went into this thinking that they were someone else, or that they had a certain potential, and you trusted them in a way. And I feel like that kind of backfired on you. Now, in between this connection, you have relief with the Nine of Cups. This is really what I feel like, Gemini, I know this is in between the connection, but for you, I feel like all you're wanting, like your wish fulfillment right now, is to get to some place of relief in this connection. I feel like this connection really did you dirty. I feel like it has hurt you in a lot of ways, and I feel like you're trying to get back to maybe who you were before this connection, or who, you know, who you want to be, or to the level of strength and confidence that you had before. I really, really feel like this connection, like, really messed you up in a lot of ways. Now, I don't like to say messed you up. I know I just said it, but I don't like to say that, because I don't think that it means that you are broken, or that there's anything wrong with you. I think that this person's hurt caused you hurt, and now you are trying to recover from that. But let's see. Let's dive into this a little bit deeper here, Gemini. Let's start by looking at your side of this connection. You have trust with the Three of Swords. This is for Gemini's side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. This is Gemini's side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. This is for Gemini's side of this connection. Strength in reverse, Knight of Cups in reverse, Three of Wands in reverse. Oh gosh, okay, Four of Wands. Okay. This connection, and it's interesting because I saw this Knight of Cups in reverse. It also clarified this relief card. I think if I look right here. Yeah, bottom of the deck. Knight of Cups in reverse. This connection has been wildly triggering for you. Very emotional, very intense. I feel like it's affected you and your life in a lot of ways. Now, the Strength card in reverse makes me feel like, and this is kind of what I felt in the beginning, like this connection kind of took like a sense of confidence from you, or a sense of your self-worth, or being good enough, or being even like strong, right? And I feel like it kind of makes you, this connection makes you feel weak. Not that you are weak, but I feel like because of how it affects you, it makes you feel that way. Now with this Three of Wands in reverse energy, you know, I kind of feel like this connection is not just something painful that happened to you, but I feel like there's a lot that can be learned from this in order to move you forward in a way that is better than you were before you first came across this connection, which I feel like to you right now, especially if this is your reading and you're currently going through this energy, I feel like that's unimaginable. I feel like it's crazy to think that this could actually lead you to something better because of the pain that you're feeling. But I do really think that, you know, the purpose of this connection, at least from what I can see just from your energy, was really to push you out of your comfort zone for some reason, right? Now, with the Justice in reverse, I mean, this was a, like, for lack of a better term, like an ass-kicking connection. Like, this was like, was, whatever it is that resonates with you, is one that has deeply, I feel like I keep saying this, but like deeply impacted you in a lot of ways. So let's get more. This is Gemini's side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Page of Swords in reverse, Four of Pentacles. Yeah, I don't feel like this connection is, and there's the Nine of Cups and Nine of Pentacles. So same Nine of Cups is right there. I don't feel like this connection is in communication here. In fact, Gemini, I feel like your primary focus is currently rebuilding. Because that's all you want. Like with this Nine of Cups and Nine of Pentacles, and kind of coming back to this relief card, like all you want, I feel like, is to flip this Justice in reverse on its head. And I feel like you're having a really hard time doing that. Like, it's like you're trying to rebuild, but I feel like you just feel like you keep getting pulled back down by the way that this has affected you. Because again, I feel like all you're looking for is, like, I don't know if like it's justice necessarily. Like, I don't think that you're necessarily out for revenge. But I do feel like there's a part of you that would like those scales to balance out here. Just based on what you've been put through. I'm like getting chills. This is freaking intense. This is a really intense connection here, Gemini. Let's get more. This is Gemini's side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Gemini's side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Gemini, okay, yeah. Empress in reverse, Ten of Cups in reverse. And there's that Hermit in reverse. Okay. Okay. I talk about this in a lot of these readings. And remember, these readings that I do, these love readings that I do, are the person that you are dealing with and needing to learn the most from right now, which means that doesn't have to be a connection that you are currently like connected to. It can be a connection that has affected you in your past. It could be a connection you're currently dealing with, like that you're currently in. But a lot of times when I talk about the connections that you're needing to learn the most from right now, typically what that's going to be are karmic connections, or at the very least, connections that have karmic cycles within them. And I talk about this in a lot of my readings, and so if you've heard this before, I feel like this has been a theme across all of these readings where it's like you saw this potential in this person, what they could be, um, who they are at their core, or who they could have been if they would heal, or if they'd open up, or if they'd be vulnerable, or if they'd, kind of face themselves, whatever. You could say that in so many different ways. And I feel like you saw that potential and you were willing to sacrifice your own needs in the beginning of this because you felt like things could eventually get better. And yet, this person consistently left you with this hermit in reverse energy, this withdrawal energy. Like it was like they were never, like, even if you were like married to this person, like they were never like 2 feet in, like, let's do this. Like, I feel like they were always kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, kind of always left you second guessing. And I feel like you saw this potential of like, oh, wow, like this person, could be so much for me. They're exactly what I want on paper, or, um, the energy that we have together is magnetic and it could be something really great in the future. And I feel like that hope of what this could be kept you in a space for a while here, Gemini, of sacrificing what it is that you needed out of the hope that this would eventually become that. And I feel like that in turn, like this 3 of Swords here that you felt in this connection or feeling in this connection, it didn't just happen once. It was like sword after sword after sword, of experiencing kind of like how your expectations weren't met and how your needs weren't being fulfilled. Not that anybody out there can fulfill our needs. That's not what I'm saying. But there are people out there that are for us that will meet us where we deserve to be met. And I don't feel like this person ever did that. I feel like, on the flip side, I feel like they kind of kept you hanging on a little bit to that hope of the expectation of what they could be. And again, I'm not saying this is a bad person by any means, and we'll look at their energy and we'll talk a lot about them too, but just coming from your perspective and how this has affected you, I feel like it feels like you kind of had this faith in them almost, of like what they could be or what you guys could be, or like you listened to like the things they told you could be, but then they just ended up like not, um when it came down to like time to deliver, they never did. And I feel like that's why you were kind of left just over and over feeling like kind of that 3 of Swords energy. And that's why I feel like your trust has really been broken in this, is because it's like you had this trust in them, you had this faith in them, and they never delivered. Okay. This is heavy. Gemini's energy toward this person. Seven of Pentacles, King of Wands. Could be dealing with fire sign, but you definitely don't have to be. 8 of Wands in reverse. Yeah, because there you are. Somebody chose to walk away from this. And I don't know, Gemini, if it was your choice or if you felt like to me, it feels like you felt like you had no choice. That could mean that you walked away because you knew that it was never going to get better. Like you finally saw that this person was never going to be able to treat you like you deserve, or like it wasn't your choice because they were the ones that walked away. Like the ending, I do feel like this connection is no longer together. I feel like you invested so much time and energy and love and care into this person. And that's why I feel like you feel the most betrayed, is because I feel like you gave this everything you had. Gave everything you had, you gave this person everything you could. You showed up as the, best possible version of yourself that you knew how to be in that moment. And I feel like you feel that it wasn't enough. And all of those, because this is kind of fallen under the strength in reverse card, right? And all of those feelings of not being enough and not being like, yeah, it's like not being good. It's just not being good enough. All those feelings of not being good enough that maybe you felt in the past in other situations, or that you kind of grew up feeling, or that you already had before this connection, it feels like they were very validated in this connection. Now, that is not me saying that the truth of you not being good enough was validated. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm saying the feelings that you had, the beliefs that you had going into this of like not being good enough, that's what was validated here. Because I feel like you invested so much into this, and then with the Eight of Wands in reverse, like things never progressed or never moved forward or never came to fruition. Like it never became what you thought it was going to be or what you thought it could be. And I feel like we're going to get to a point in this reading where it's very obvious that that has nothing to do with you. This person's or Gemini's energy toward this person. Gemini's energy toward this person, please. Ooh. Okay. Goodness sakes, Gemini. Okay. This connection that you had to this person was kind of a mirror of the instability that you experienced in childhood in some way, shape, or form. And I feel like that's a lot of why this is affecting you in such a deep level, is because this isn't just, you're not just dealing with the feeling. Because again, I kind of said it earlier. I was like, these feelings that you had of not being good enough before this connection were seemingly validated in this connection. So it almost feels like this is like a cycle that keeps recurring in your life. Like people proving to you, quote unquote, proving to you that you're not good enough, or that like no one can be trusted. Like it feels like it's like no matter how good, quote unquote, you think you are, or you think you like how much you think you've invested into something, it's like it feels like it's never enough. Like maybe things always end up ending, you always get like cheated on or betrayed or left or whatever the case is. And this connection was almost like a mirror reflection of all of that. And I feel like specifically something that started in childhood. Like if you dealt with like abandonment in childhood, you dealt with like abandonment in this connection. Or if you dealt with like betrayal in childhood, you dealt with that, or like abuse or something like that. And those situations can be very tricky, because what happens is this person, who then becomes a reflection of all of the people who have ever made us feel unlovable before, shows this promise of loving us, caring for us, being what we deserve because of their potential, because the potential that we see of the connection, kind of put on those rose-colored glasses. And what we do is we say, I need this person to love me, because if this person loves me, then it will heal all of these ways that I've ever felt unlovable in the past. Now remember, 95% of our movements, choices, and decisions are subconscious. Only 5% of the way that we interact with our reality is conscious. So I'm not saying you're sitting there thinking this through, right? Oftentimes we don't realize how much our subconscious really does control our reality, especially in our relationships. And so I feel like there's some deeper stuff going on in this connection, which is why it feels so heavy and why it has affected you so much. This is a long reading. All right, Gemini's side of this connection to the person they are dealing with. Because again, it just feels like you're looking for some relief. Like you're looking to feel better, to not feel so angry or so sad or so hurt or so anxious. Yeah, you're stuck. 6 of Cups in reverse. King of Cups in reverse, Fool in reverse. It's like you can't move on. Even if you want to. Even if you're like, all I want is to move on, it feels like you are completely stuck in this. But I mean, hell, I see the King of Cups in reverse and the King of Swords in reverse, and that to me is like, I mean, that's emotional abuse, that's mental abuse. It's like you were saying that you weren't treated well in this connection is an understatement, is what I'm getting at. And I feel like you put some rose-colored glasses on and didn't really see this as much because you were looking at it through the lens of, I thought I had the Ten of Pentacles out, but through the lens of the, or Ten of Cups. It was a Ten of Cups? Yeah, Ten of Cups in reverse. That's funny. I said, was it the Ten of Cups? And I can't do it again probably, but I opened this up and it was the Ten of Cups. Through the lens of that potential that you saw in this person in this connection. And so I feel like the reason you're having such a hard time moving on is because I feel like you were a little bit blindsided. It's like maybe you thought you were dealing with someone else, or you saw the good in them and ignored the not so good, and then that not so good came up and kind of just like really kind of impacted your life in a really heavy way. And now I just feel like there's this, like, there's a lot of confusion and I don't know. I just feel like this connection really really impacted you in a lot of ways. And I feel like you're having trouble doing the healing, but I feel like the healing will get you to some pretty cool places. But we will move forward with the reading. Let's look at this person's energy toward you, Gemini. Oh my gosh. I did not plan that. Hermit reverse, the bottom of the deck. This person's energy toward Gemini. This person's energy toward Gemini, please. This person's energy toward Gemini. Star, Two of Cups in reverse, Temperance in reverse, Three of Swords. Give me just a second here. Don't know why. But the thing I'm being drawn to and what I'm trying to figure out is in these three cards, the Temperance, the Two of Cups, and the Star, there's two cups or jugs, something to hold water. Like you have that in the Star, that in the Two of Cups, and then in the Temperance, you know, those two cups there. And obviously I know cups, water, emotion, but there's something about this. It's like, because then the other thing is like, look at these wings. There's this wings in the Temperance and then these wings in the Two of Cups. It feels like and then there's a little bird here, like wings, like okay. In every single relationship, and I'll get back to, I'll tie it back to this energy, but in every single connection, each person has a cup, right? A metaphorical cup. And you pour a little in that person's cup, and then supposedly they pour a little back into your cup. And I feel like what happened with this person, or just how this person seems to be in relationships, is that it's like they're always looking for their cup to be filled, but they never fill other people's cups. That's that power aspect to them needing needing that power and connections. It's like they need to know that they're surrounded by people who will fill their cup through attention or, chasing energy. But they never pour that into anyone else's cup. And like what's coming at me with this star, because these messages are really confusing just how they are as cups. So this is definitely like an imagery message here. It feels like I don't know, I just was really drawn to this like spilled cup right here. It's like they're so reckless. They have so much of their cup being filled that it's almost like they're reckless with it. Like they don't appreciate the people that fill up their cup because they're used to always having their cup filled up. And I feel like this Three of Swords, kind of looking at, what happened here to you. It kind of feels like I don't think they meant to hurt you, Gemini. I don't. I really, really don't. I feel like they don't know how to fill up anybody else's cup but their own. Now, when you're dealing with someone that is like that, it's often because they don't know how to fill up other people's cup. And they're in survival mode. They need their cup to be filled up to essentially avoid like breaking down. There's more, I know, to that message, but I want to go ahead and keep pulling cards because I think it'll probably add on to it as we go. So this person's energy toward Gemini. So they have the Six of Swords upright. I feel like to you, it looks like, because they have the Six of Swords with the Sun, it looks like they're moving on to this happiness. I feel like that's what it looks like to you. Six of Swords and the Sun. It looks like they're moving on. It looks like they found this happiness. But then you have the Six of Cups in reverse, which feels like they're not actually moving on to anything better. They're stuck in repeated cycles. They're stuck in repeating cycles from the past. It's almost like they're reliving the past over and over again. This could be someone who's had a lot of relationships, who has, again, they always need their cup filled up, right? So what happens there is you have a cup, they have a cup. You fill up their cup, you fill up their cup a little bit more, you give a little bit more, and you're like waiting for them, and you're like, what the hell? You keep filling up their cup. And then you have nothing left in your cup. You're like, well, my cup's empty. I don't have anything left to give. And they go, well, I guess I can't use you anymore. And they go and they find that next person to fill up their cup. I had someone comment on one of my videos saying that they wished I wasn't so harsh toward this person. Like on this side, when we're kind of talking about karmic connections, and I want it to be very known that I am not trying to be. This is just the energy that is coming through about this person, about the way that they tend to act. And it's not that they are a bad person. Again, I said this at the beginning, it's that they're a hurt person, and hurt people hurt people. So I definitely feel like that's what's kind of going on with this person. So let's get more. This person's energy toward Gemini. This person's energy toward Gemini. So I feel like that's why to you, you feel like, you feel like you weren't good enough. Because you're like, well, I filled up their cup. I gave until I had nothing left to give, and it still wasn't enough. No, it's not that it wasn't enough. It's that this person has a bit of an insatiable energy. Remember, givers have a limit, takers do not. Justice in reverse, 10 of Wands, 8 of Pentacles, 9 of Cups, 3 of Pentacles. Person is not one to take accountability. I feel like that 3 of Swords, like that hurting other people that we kind of talked about, that 3 of Swords that you've been through, I feel like they kind of have a tendency to hurt people in that way. because they are carrying around this like burden, like with this 10 of Wands, they carry around this burden of like their past, of feeling unlovable, of feeling not good enough, and instead of healing and dealing with that burden and going to therapy, um, I feel like they make that burden everybody else's problem. And as long as you're carrying the burden, right? As long as you have this 3 of Swords and other people that they've hurt have those 3 of Swords that they've provided them, they don't ever have to deal with that 3 of Swords themselves. And so they have this burden, and their whole goal is to work toward trying to relieve themselves of this burden in a way that requires them not to have to face any of the uncomfortable feelings that actually come with healing. And so if you were in a situation with this person where I feel like you saw their potential, you saw what they could be if they healed or whatever the case was, you probably were very correct in their potential. But unfortunately, people don't heal for other people. They heal when they realize that they need to. And they don't usually realize they need to until like they need to, essentially, not because we want them to. So it's not that you weren't good enough. It's that this person has a little bit of an insatiable need for, with the Hermit reverse again, for having their cup filled. And when you can't fill their cup anymore, they will move on to somebody who can. This person's energy toward Gemini, please. And then the wings, it's like you fill their cup all the way up and then they like take flight. Like it's like, I don't know, that's kind of what I was getting from that. Okay, this person's energy toward Gemini, please. Long reading. Knight of Pentacles, Death. Okay. This person is slowly but surely headed towards some sort of an ego death here. I don't know. I feel like this could take freaking years, maybe even lifetimes. But it is inevitable. It's like their choices will catch up to them eventually. You can be sure of that. Like it's like karma is a very real thing, and the way that we experience karma, I don't like to think of it as punishment necessarily, but I like to think of it as karma is always a teacher, right? It's going to teach how your movement, choices, and decisions have affected you in either a negative or a positive way. And so I hate to say like karma is going to catch up to them, but like, yeah. Now you might be like, how? They have this string of relationships, or they move on so quickly, or everything always works out for them. Yeah, but tables also always turn, okay? And so right now, I feel like instead of being so worried about whether or not this person's going to get their karma, I feel, Gemini, like you need to be worried about how you're going to heal. Not worried about. You're going to heal. Don't be worried about it. But you need to be focused on that instead of on this person. This person's energy toward Gemini, please. Yeah, the Nine of Pentacles in reverse, that to me can be like distraction or like overindulgence. And I feel like that's kind of how they distract from a lot of what this is talking about. I feel like they drink a lot, or they look for, relief in third parties, because both people in this connection are looking for relief, right? You're looking for relief from the pain that was caused, and this person's looking to essentially relief from their own burdens and their own struggles and their own demons. And I feel like it can be really easy when we're dealing with people who, don't give us what we deserve because we think that it has to do with us, when in reality, this person is not capable of being what it is that you deserve. It's not that they're choosing not to. Sure, they might be choosing not to heal and choosing not to face that stuff, but that has nothing to do with you. That's their own demons, right? That's a fight against themselves that they're dealing with. And you unfortunately got in the middle of the crossfire with that person. And it's not that they're a bad person. I don't believe that. I don't really think that that they had like intentions of hurting you. I think that they are looking for situations that will fill up their cup so that they don't have to worry about filling up their own or facing their own kind of stuff, if you will. But I do think that, like, with that death card there, like, karma's gonna get them eventually, someday. It might be a day where you are completely moved on, living your best life. Remember, best revenge is living well. And you might not even know it's gonna happen, but you can be sure that the people who hurt you are going to get what's coming to them at some point. This person's energy toward Gemini. This person's energy toward Gemini, please. Yeah. 7 of Pentacles in reverse, 6 of Pentacles in reverse, Knight of Pentacles in reverse. And there's that 7 of Cups in reverse again, like their choices. It's like most of their relationships look like this. Most of their situations look like this. They don't really invest. They don't reciprocate. They take a lot, and they take a lot from a lot of people in a lot of situations because they probably feel a little bit entitled to it, or again, they're probably just looking to freaking survive, right? But you can have empathy for this person all day long and understand why they act the way they do, but that does not mean that you have to tolerate their treatment of you. But being able to understand that hurt people and their actions towards you and their decisions that have affected you, it's not personal, and it has nothing to do with you not being good enough or with you not being attractive enough or successful enough or funny enough. I don't know, whatever it is. It has nothing to do with you and everything to do with their search, constant, lifelong, until they hit a brick wall search of trying to find people in situations that will fill their cups without them having to give in return. Because in order for them to give in return, they'd have to do some inner work. And with the Tournament in reverse coming up 3 times in this reading, I don't really see that being this person's priority. So, heavy reading, for sure, but I feel like it was necessary. We're going to hop on over to the extended. Like I said, this middle section is what is the purpose of this connection and what is the best way to move forward in alignment with your higher self. We're looking at relief with the 9 of Cups. We're pulling 9 different messages, and I have an advice card to pull at the end. Thank you so much, Gemini, as always, for your support of my channel. I do hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, Gemini, I wish you nothing but love and healing on your journey moving forward. Bye, Gemini.